Welcome everybody to episode 7 of Real Time. My name is Ryan. With me as always is the Morgan Freeman to my Brad Pitt, Robbie.
Hey Ryan, how's it going?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm alright. I don't know if I've got the voice for it though. That's the only problem.
That's all right. Well, let's see how we go. Now, as I said before, this is episode 7, so let's get into it and find out what's in the box. We'll start off on the note of Brad Pitt with a Fight Club essay that I somewhere in America, I can't remember where it was. I didn't do my research before we started this. She was assigned a subject at her high school or college to do a film essay, and she did it on Fight Club.
Yeah,
So
I can kind of guess where this is going.
yeah. So she decided, I don't know how many words it was, probably 500 words or whatever. She decided to use 19 words. And all it was the first rule of Fight Club is don't talk about Fight Club.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Apparently she passed because her tutor found the sense of humour in it.
Oh, that's good. Like, honestly, if you didn't, you'd be screwed. That's a risky maneuver, but
It is. I'm surprised, like, anywhere else you'd probably go, do it again and, like, do a proper essay.
to a
But
professor.
to the professor, hats off to you, sir.
Yeah, it's a very good call. I'm guessing it was a case where they was like, I can see the sense of humour in this, but not everyone would, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I definitely think that's what the case was. But, yeah, I say good on the girl as well for, just risking that as well. And, the one question I want to know is, did she actually have a proper essay lined up just in case
I get the feeling not.
Yeah.
Spit one out of the weekend. Jeez, wow. What a subject to pick for an essay, though. But that's a good idea. I don't know if I'd been ballsy enough to pull that off myself. I would have been too worried about that coming back to me.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely kudos.
So let's move on to other news. There was kind of a sad announcement, I guess, depending on how you want to look at it. Will Ferrell and Adam McKay have split ways from their production company.
Now, what is the production company called? Can you remember?
I can't actually. No.
Was it Gary Sanchez? Is that what it was?
That sounds very familiar. It might have been.
I'm
It sounds like definitely something Will Ferrell would do.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was. I've completely forgotten. I forgot to look this up actually, and it just popped into my head then. But yeah, they've made films for about 15 years into that.
At least. The early 2000s.
And a lot of comedies. But McKay's obviously doing a lot more kind of serious dramas with comedic elements. And he's obviously won an Oscar with that as well. So it's not too surprising, I guess. They just decided that they're both... But geez, some of the highlights in that producing career.
Oh, for sure. I mean, you count off numerous ones. You got like your Talladega Nights and your Anchormans...
Step Brothers,
of course, yeah.
Yeah.
My drum kit.
It's kind of a surprise. I would have thought that there's no reason for them not to keep that partnership going. Even if McKay's making serious films, he can still produce a non-serious comedy. But maybe he's just had enough. Maybe both of them just had enough.
Yeah. Maybe they've just both decided to go in opposite sort of ways now, and they're just like, we don't really have anything we could collaborate on anymore, so we might as well just pull the plug.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shame. At least we got an Anchorman 2, even if it wasn't great. At least they tried. It was just way too many years too late.
Yeah, there was an Anchorman 2. It came as a special feature on the first Anchorman film.
You're talking about the Wake Up Ron Burgundy film. Yes.
In my opinion, it's a much better sequel, even though it's just extra footage from the first film.
Fair enough.
But then again, I haven't seen all of Anchorman 2, so I've seen enough of it to go, nah.
Oh, wow. Okay. Wow. I haven't even watched it with it because there's a cut with completely replaced all the jokes with new jokes.
Oh,
so,
that'd be interesting.
Because they ad-lib so much that every joke in the movie had alternate takes. So the editor had created 2 versions of the film, and they did test screenings. When it wasn't 2 versions of the film, it was more correct. They would do test screens with different jokes, and they would record the audience reactions, and then the jokes that got the better laughs, they became the A joke, and then the other jokes became the B joke. And then they managed to make 2 different versions of the film where they took all the B jokes, basically the ones that people still liked, but not as much as the A jokes, and that's the B version of the film which they released. So I'm kind of curious to kind of eventually watch. I haven't seen Anchorman 2 since it first came out, but rewatch the first movie and then rewatch it with the B jokes and see if it is any better or worse.
Yeah, all right. I might have to do that myself then. I'll give it another chance.
I don't know. There's one very good scene near the end, but it relies heavily on the first movie, so as you'd expect. And so you probably never got to see that either. It goes very, very abstract, but it's very Will Ferrell, like, in the final third.
It makes a lot of sense then.
Half, actually, really. Yeah, anyway, could spend an entire hour
Just
talking
going on
about
about
how
that.
ridiculous that movie is.
Yeah, we'll move on to a James Wan Mortal Kombat film coming out this year.
No, I'm kind of surprised that it's taken them this long to get another Mortal Kombat film off the ground, because there was that web series that came out almost 8 years ago. I think it was 7 or 8 years ago. It was really good. It had some real high level.
I think I remember seeing a few episodes myself.
Yeah, they made one off, and that got them more web episodes, and there was a good big cast in it, like some real well known actors in it. And they made 2 seasons of it. I think there was supposed to be a third, and the third never kind of appeared. I'm not sure why. And then all of a sudden now we're getting a rebooted film franchise. I still maintain the first Mortal Kombat is still one of the better video game films.
Yeah.
Even after all these years, after 24 years since it came out in 95, jeepers. So I'll be very interested to see where it goes. I mean, the franchise itself as a game franchise has kind of evolved and changed and rebooted itself, and so it's got a lot to choose from. But realistically, the first movie kind of nailed the idea of having that kind of game of death, island tournament thing quite well. So it would have to do something either better or completely different. That's the sure it can be. I'll be very interested. James Wan, great director, producer.
Especially off the back of Aquaman, which was very well received.
Yes, very much so. Yeah, could be interesting. I'd be very interested to see who gets cast in it too, to be honest. And what characters.
I mean, it couldn't be any worse than some of the later sequels. I mean, I'd seen a video recently of one of the worst CGI moments in movies, and what it featured, I think, was a Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
Yeah, it's real.
And it was saying how that the CGI was worse than the video game it was sort of based on.
Yeah, it was this thing where digital characters were so in their infancy. Like, this is 96, 97. And why are you thinking about this? When you think about this, is we're a few years away from Lord of the Rings, but like the producer had this grand vision where it's just like we're at the point where we should make digital characters and put them in movies. Perhaps a few years too early, because even the ones that were in the first movie were really pushing the boundary in 95.
What the technology could do at the time.
And they decided to have this scene in the second movie where it's like literally like a dragon versus like some weird multi-headed monster who's like the main bad guy morphed. It's so
horrendous.
Bad. It is horrendous. It is one of the worst pieces of CG in a movie you've ever seen. And it's not even just
That's why it made the list.
Yeah, exactly. It's not just, what was it? Was it near the top of the list? It must have been.
I think it was, yeah. Because I think number 2 was the Scorpion King.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty bad. That's pretty bad. Yeah, I'd definitely put that up there. And maybe was it the 2011 Clash of the Titans? And the last act turns into just one giant mesh of CG. It's freaking horrible. Anyway, get off track anyway.
With James Wan, it's probably bound to be a good film because he knows what he's doing.
I would hope so. I'd hope he knows. I guess it depends on the script and the directors and stuff, but I'm sure it'll be. It can't be, as long as it's at that level of the first Mortal Kombat movie or better. I'm okay with that. And considering that, like, video game films got a little bit of a boost with the Detective Pikachu film recently, and a series of not great but not bad video game films, the ones that at least looked good, like Tomb Raider and Warcraft and this sort of stuff. We're in this realm where we can possibly kind of maybe make things like that happen.
Absolutely, I definitely agree with that. We'll move on to Honey, I Shrunk the Kids reboot with Josh Gad.
Regardless of the Josh Gad thing, I'm keen to see what technology could do with that concept, because back when the first movie was made, they had to build giant sets, which is cool, like, in their own way. Don't get me wrong, I love practical effects.
Giant ants as well for certain parts.
Yeah, exactly. It had to, but this day with CG, if you mixed it with some CG and practical effects combined, you'd be able to make some amazing things in that concept. So I'm just on a general basis, I'm very keen to kind of see a Honey, I Shrunk the Kids kind of movie. But it's a Lego sequel because Gad's playing Nick Solinsky, I think, the kid from the first movie, who's had these various incidents.
Kind of had the same sort of tools and equipment that his dad has had, and I think you're right. Like, if they do mix in live action with CG, it could actually be quite a good film, especially if, like, everything sort of in the foreground or that's grabbing your attention is there, and then sort of stuff slightly in the background as CG as well, just to fill up
Definitely.
that space. It'd be a good mix.
I need to rewatch the original because I remember it being so amazing at the time, and I haven't seen it in years. I have the 3 movies on DVD, and I really probably should rewatch at least the first one. The other good question is, could we see a return of Wayne Selinsky?
It's possible.
I don't know. I don't think it'd be enough to
Rick Moranis has hung up his boots, so to speak.
I was going to say, I don't know. Will it be enough to convince him to come out of retirement? Well, it's not retirement. We've never seen this retirement. He says it's not retirement. He hasn't found the right project. Would this be the right project for him? I don't know.
Well, I think on that note, speaking of the right project, we should just move ahead slightly to go to our Ghostbusters.
Yeah, I don't know.
Ghostbusters 3. Well, I say 3. Coming out in the next few years,
whatever it ends up being called. But they had the 30th anniversary. Is it 30th?
I think so. Yeah, 30th or 31st.
Hang on, 35th.
Oh, 35th.
Sorry, 35th for Ghostbusters, 30th for Ghostbusters 2, and they had a little festival. And Sigourney Weaver had kind of in a few days beforehand in an interview had basically outed herself as being involved by saying that she'd read the script and that the guys were involved and she was going to be involved. And they reconfirmed this at the festival. And there's bloody Ernie Hudson sitting in the panel and nobody's acknowledging the fact that Ernie's there and he's read the script and he's returning as well. It's like it's like the first movie you'll ever get. It's just forgot.
It's just everybody there. It's like, no, don't worry about Ernie Hudson.
Yeah, but there was no mention of Moranis coming back at the festival either. So I don't know if this means there's no role. He's not intended. They wrote it in case he wanted to. He's been approached. He hasn't replied. Who knows? There was no mention of it whatsoever. But it would be nice to see him return as well.
There's probably a loose script, and it would be the same for Honey, I Shrunk the Kids as well, that, maybe they might have him involved, and then, there's like a few pages where he's not involved if he doesn't want to be.
He doesn't want to be involved,
So they can just sort of write him out or just don't make reference to him.
It would be nice, at least, hopefully he would sign off on his likeness from the earlier films if they've got some photos and stuff at the very least for both of the movies, but who knows? It's kind of a shame. The talk at the Ghostbusters thing was really focused on the film. It sounds like there's a story to be told with some. So Jason Reitman's directing, so Ivan Reitman's son. He had no intent of making a Ghostbusters movie, and then all of a sudden he had this vision in his head of I think he said a 12-year-old girl with a proton gun. He thought that's just a weird image, and it kind of stuck with him. He started writing a script around the idea of this family that ends up having to use the ghostbusting equipment somehow. But I don't know quite how
must inherit it or something.
Inherited it or something. It's going to be very interesting. I'm sure
maybe the New York Council has taken it off them again. It's being illegally operated.
Yeah.
Yes, it's true. This man has no penis.
And dickless over here.
Yeah.
No. I mean, maybe that's the case. We'll find out. Obviously, soon enough. But it's obviously going ahead filming. I think later this year, into next year, or something like that. So,
was it released 2021? I think.
I think so.
Yeah.
So, or is it next year? Maybe it's next year. So a lot coming out in the next couple of years.
Possibly late next year then. If
anyway,
that's the case,
I probably the original movie got turned around in 12 months. So
it's possible.
Put it in those terms. I don't know. We'll see. Well, anyway, I'm guessing they're going to rush with it. They also made some comments about the female lead Ghostbusters. Not to say that there wasn't anything. I guess it wasn't really much of a backpedal. It was just making sure that people realise that they're not overlooking what Paul Feig did. Paul Feig was at this event for the anniversary, basically saying that movie works in the same concept, that they want to allow the idea of the universe to grow. And while not everyone obviously enjoyed the female-led Ghostbusters film, it still creates this concept where... And I think he said basically the Ghostbusters could essentially be a worldwide entity. It doesn't have to be located in America. You can have all ethnicities, all genders.
Similar to Men in Black International.
Which is kind of funny. I guess which isn't exactly doing very well. But I guess the idea has always been there in the fan base, which is such a weird thing that I get. I don't know if you've seen, there's a documentary, I think it was on Netflix for a while, I think it was called Ghost Heads.
Rings a bell.
And it was about the fandom of Ghostbusters and how much it meant to them. But there's all these Ghostbusters groups all over America, and they're all made up of all sorts of people, all backgrounds, all sort of stuff. And already the fandom is so inclusive. I was quite surprised, I guess, at the toxicness online to do with the rebooted Ghostbusters. It was so weird. It was so counter to what the fandom seems to be about. And so I'm really questioning of how much of it was the actual fandom and how much of it was other people, or there was this undercurrent of like the fandom's
general moviegoers sort of giving it flack sort of thing.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting anyway.
Yeah.
But it's at least I'm hopeful that it's a sequel that people want in this case. That it's not something that's going to turn around and be a sequel that people don't want. Speaking of sequels that people may not want, though, another Alien prequel / Covenant Prometheus sequel.
Why? Give it up, Ridley.
Yeah, I know you.
Scott, that is.
Yeah, I know you. Give it up, Ridley. I know you weren't a fan of Covenant.
Not really, no.
Yeah.
And I've seen it a few times since I saw it at the movies as well. I'm still not a fan of it. Like it's a movie where it kind of answers stuff from Prometheus, but even gives you more questions. So yeah, I don't know. It just needs a full overall story and not give you more questions and leave it open for more sequels.
I would hope that they make the sequel / prequel. It is the last sequel / prequel, and it leads towards Alien.
It should lead straight into Alien.
I don't need 3 more of these, but it's more frustrating that obviously it's still stammered away at the idea of this Alien sequel, kind of like the upcoming Terminator sequel, where it ignores the other films that it took place after. In this case, it'd be Aliens. It was Terminator 2 and the Terminator situation. That looks kind of interesting, and that has people involved in it kind of keen about it, but it's not going ahead because Ridley Scott continues to make sequels and prequels that start to wear away the mythos. I kind of, the more I think about that, it's the biggest crime for me. It's like, I don't really need to know all this. I'd rather have not known this stuff.
Yeah, it's fun to have stuff, say, in like the first Alien film where you've got a derelict ship with all these eggs in it, and you're like, oh, that's interesting. I wonder where that comes from. But ideally, with some film franchises, it's better to leave that a mystery than to go back and explore it later on. Like, yes, it might. If you've got an overall sort of story arc, it might be good to tell it, but I kind of think Alien is kind of one of those things where it didn't need to be told, much like how I'll use Revenge of the Sith as a kind of example, where the last half hour of that, it was kind of like stuff shoehorned in to tie into A New Hope, where
had to,
where like Anakin became Darth Vader and he got the whole outfit, the names of the twins and them being separated. It's like, we know this. You don't need to shoehorn it in to the end of the film. You know, you just leave it at a certain point and go, okay, so
these things that you know happen are going to happen off screen, and they'll still happen beforehand. I know exactly what you mean. The thing is as well, for me, when all of a sudden the alien becomes someone's genetic tampering, it's no longer an alien-like creature. It's still partly humanoid, because we know this. It's no longer really an alien. It's kind of this weird hybrid, and then it's mislabeled, and it just kind of cheapens their... I don't know. It's very, very hard to not get frustrated with that.
Even with the original films, they still sort of took on part of their host, so to speak, from the facehugger. Like, they still took on human characteristics, and I suppose that's what Ridley Scott's trying to go for with this, is that because they're created by a humanoid, I'll say, is that's why they look more human anyway. Yeah. Even regardless of the facehugger and all that. But I don't know. We'll see what happens with this next sequel, prequel.
I don't see you going to go see it, to be honest.
I probably won't rush out to go see it. Yeah. Put it that way. Yeah. I'll probably just go, I'll go see what it's about.
On a scheme of things I'm not sure about rushing out for, you've written down, the Batman film. Now,
the Patman.
The Patman?
As it's colloquially being called online, of Robert Pattinson.
Batman,
being the new Batman, or the Batman, I think it's being called.
Batman. I enjoyed that joke that you also sent me, which was that it took 11 years to turn into a bat.
That's right. Yeah, it's the whole Twilight joke.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. So it came down to him and Nicholas Hoult. Now, we'd seen Hoult. I don't know if you saw it. Did you see? Were you sitting there? You did.
I was in the panel at Armageddon. Yep.
Yeah, Nicholas Hoult was in New Zealand for the thing, and obviously at the time he would have been going through this. Would have been happening in the background at the time.
I think this news came out about a week after we'd left Wellington as well.
I think it was.
So we're like, if it came out earlier, we could have asked.
Yeah, well, someone probably would have asked if that had been the case. But the thing is, anyway, I mean, people were asking him stuff about superheroes and stuff, and he was being a little bit cagey about it at the time. It kind of makes a bit more sense. To be quite honest, I mean, obviously Pattinson must have done a great audition. I could see either one of them playing Bruce Wayne. I don't have any major problems. I just am not. It's the entire DC film slate has not really enthused me.
Taken off.
Yeah, and this continues to be part of the problem. Is it's just like Wonder Woman's ready to go, and they've delayed it another year, and
they just don't know what they're doing.
Yeah,
with their franchise.
Each individual film is starting to get better. I mean, I like Shazam. I didn't dislike
Shazam was good.
I'm sure this will be fine. I don't see any reason. And the casting history of the DC films is have come to a history of people underestimating why they've cast someone and they end up being quite good. This was the same with Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. It was the same with the original Batman movie from '89 with Tim Burton one.
Yeah, with Michael Keaton. Everyone's like, no, he's been in comedies and he's a funny man.
Yeah, well, he's not going to be Bruce Wayne. So, and obviously the Joker and Heath Ledger isn't even worth mentioning probably. But so I don't see the reason for any backlash really. And I'd be very interested to see if Holt had got the role that people have been doing the same thing anyway. So. Apparently, the way it reads, the little bit of information that's leaked out, it doesn't sound like either the idea has been retooled or Ben Affleck was never going to be in this movie, or the script that he had was going to be completely different.
I think there's conflicting reports. I think Ben Affleck was going to be in this, and I think he was going to produce but not direct, but then I think he just pulled out or something.
Involved in the writing as well.
Yeah, something like that. But now I think it's just been retooled altogether.
I'd have to be an entirely different film, because obviously both Patterson and Holt are quite young. Comparatively anyway, and the idea that I've seen float around is that it's in his early stages of being the Batman.
Yeah, I think they kind of want to touch on like the sort of year one storyline and sort of play off that a little bit of, he's sort of grown up, sort of learning stuff here and there, and then he's gone off and done his training, whatnot, and then he comes back and becomes the Batman.
Yeah, it makes sense. So essentially,
we'll wait and see. I think.
It's like the start of Batman Begins, but spread out to the length of a movie almost.
Effectively, yeah.
Yeah.
Just be mindful of your surroundings.
Indeed.
We'll move on. There's which surprised me, a Chris Rock Saw film in 2020.
I saw the news of this and I'm like, what? And they're like, Chris Rock had this really genius idea for a Saw sequel.
Yeah,
but because you still haven't seen Jigsaw, have you?
No, I haven't. No. When I read this, I can't remember what website I read it on, but it said Chris Rock Saw film for 2020, and then like underneath in parentheses it says yes, that Chris Rock. in case you thought, okay, Chris Rock,
different Chris Rock,
probably not that one.
Yeah, it's probably
apparently
not that one.
It is
that one.
It's the Chris Rock you're probably thinking of right now.
If you're thinking about that Chris Rock, then you are completely 100% correct.
Yeah. If you're not thinking of that Chris Rock, it's the wrong one.
It's the wrong I'm assuming, again, if he's got an idea, it can't be any worse than Jigsaw. I didn't mind Jigsaw, but it wasn't great.
It wasn't the best.
It was a middle-of-the-road Saw film, that's still okay for some people, I guess. And we joked about it as well, but when I went and saw Escape Room, that was like a middle-of-the-road Saw film too.
Yeah.
It just didn't have the gory violence in it. Yeah, whatever.
We'll see what happens.
See what happens.
I mean, he might somehow get himself into it.
That's
he
possible.
might even be one of the victims. Who knows?
Who knows? We'll find out. Or a detective or something. Who knows? Yeah. I'm assuming if they're going ahead with it, they must have something interesting for them to go, yep, that's a good idea, let's go ahead with it. And I think my understanding as well is not only that, like the production people related to it, like I think it's one of the guys from the earlier, what's his name? Darren Bowsman, is it?
Yep.
Is involved, and
he had a good run of 4 of them.
And that's involved with the franchise.
James Wan.
No, not James Wan. James Wan's involved as well, apparently, on the production side. Still,
I know who you mean. I can't think of it.
Yeah, my mind's gone blank. But anyway, they both said, "Yeah, sounds like a good idea." So.
Wow. Oh, if they're both on board, then apparently. I guess we'll see that in 2020.
Yeah, there'll be probably, I'm guessing, Halloween, as it usually is.
As it normally is,
for just over a year away. I didn't see this until I looked it up after you said it. There's another Masters of the Universe movie coming?
Apparently so. I mean, there was a Dolph Lundgren one in, what is it, 1986, or was it?
7 or something.
7, yeah. I mean, I haven't seen that, so...
Oh, you've never seen that, is it?
No, I've never seen that.
Wow, we have to sit down and watch that. That's interesting. So, put it in the context. They spent... It was a... Canon films, films, and they had financial problems throughout the shoot and issues and stuff. It's very interesting. The movie has one giant locational set that is amazing, and they spent a lot of money on it, and they filmed a lot in it. But because of like budget and effects issues, you couldn't do He-Man and Masters of the Universe, which appeared in the show.
Yeah.
So it's mostly set on Earth, and it mostly deals with like gritty streets and like nighttime and Courtney Cox.
Oh wow!
You have to see it. It's a cult classic.
Right.
It's a brilliant cult classic. Anyway, now obviously with the effects and everything you do now, you could actually do something that's quite relevant to the actual series. So I hadn't seen this until you mentioned it. So I'm kind of curious. But they've cast He-Man, if I'm correct. I haven't seen.
I'm not sure.
I think I'd seen when I looked
at
this up. They said they cast someone. Yeah, I'm gonna be curious. This is.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be
See
absolutely
what
horrific, or it could be really, really good. But yes, you're right. Dolph Lundgren, actually not bad in that movie either. Not that he's bad now, actually, either. To be fair, like never really been that bad. I'm kind of making it sound bad, but he's actually given that it's a pretty thankless role, to be honest.
All right, might have to check it out, as well as the new one in 2 years' time.
Yes, definitely.
We'll move on. So there was a picture went around, I think, Instagram or Facebook somewhere a while ago of Vin Diesel taking a selfie, and just in the background just happened to be John Cena.
Yeah, we talked
wrestler.
about this last episode. Yeah, definitely.
And I think,
we were talking about wrestlers and actors.
Yeah, exactly. And there was a lot of people going, "Oh, is he going to be in the next Fast and Furious franchise?" And then other people like, "No, he was probably just both in the same place at the same time at a movie premiere or something." But since that photo's come out, it's now been confirmed that John Cena will be in Fast 9.
Yes, correct.
And it begs the question of what his role would be, because the past few films he's been in, especially Bumblebee's sort of played a military sort of person. So is he going to bring that to Fast 9, or is he going to be like a police officer or something?
Well, what's interesting is that...
Is he going to be a villain?
Well, I was going to say, yeah, it could be a villain. They obviously, after the Hobbs and Shaw film, they're not returning for the mainline film, at least the 9th one. They might return for the 10th. So they've confirmed that Dwayne Johnson's not coming back.
Yeah.
And Jason Statham isn't coming back for now.
Yeah, for now. They'll be off on their own tangent until 10 or...
Well, 10's apparently... The 10's supposed to be the last of the run. Like, they've said there's going to be 10 movies now, and that's... So I somehow doubt it. If the 9th one makes as much movies as the last couple, they'll probably just start throwing more money for 11 and 12 and 13 and 14 and whatever else. But, which is crazy to think that we can get past 10 Fast and Furious. Like, if you told me after I saw that second movie that there was going to be, like, another 8 of those, I would have been like, what?
Yeah.
What? But hey, whatever, would not have expected that at all.
Yeah, well, I remember when Tokyo Drift came out, and I was kind of like, it's a drifting movie. It's not in the same vein as the first two were, but and then they came out with 4, 5, and 6, and kind of retconned Fast and Furious 3 or Tokyo Drift rather, and.
Yeah, it was a sensible way of doing it. It made sense, although it's hilarious going back and watching because the character from the third movie when he reappears is like massively way older.
Yeah, his voice is much deeper as well, and it's very off-putting.
It's really off-putting,
just because they have to tie into that bit as well. But,
it's hilarious.
Yeah, it's funny, but yeah, I think you're right. Like if you would have been told that after the second one there's going to be another 8, you'd be like, what?
Yeah. I would never have expected that.
No, I don't even think they would have expected it either, to be fair, but they keep making money. People keep going seeing it.
Yep, it's the one. We'll see where we go next when they release the next trailer. If they throwing... What was it? The last one was The Rock holding missiles and ice, and Charlize Theron as the bad guy.
Yeah, that's
have you even seen the 8th one?
No. I don't even think I've seen 7.
Oh wow!
I can't even remember what I've seen.
Oh wow! Okay, there's another thing too. We need to start creating a tally while we're recording these of things you haven't seen.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we just need to put something like a bell or something every time I haven't seen a movie.
Something you haven't also seen yet is John Wick 3.
Yep.
But immediately, within a day after John Wick 3 came out, they announced John Wick 4.
Yeah, which is a hell of a lot surprising.
It wasn't.
Actually, no, not really. But
we were talking about this last time that Keanu Reeves said as long as the audience wants to see them, he'll keep making them. And so, and
same couldn't be said about The Matrix.
Shh. But I'll talk more about John Wick later on, but it wasn't a surprise, and it's going to be out in 2021.
Yep.
So they're basically giving themselves 2 years to turn a movie around. I think it's pretty obvious that the third one was not going to be the end of the franchise. I think that's pretty obvious even for anyone who hasn't seen it. So yeah, it wasn't too surprising to hear them say that. On the scheme of Keanu returning to things, though, you saw this. I didn't see this, but apparently he said he would be very keen to play Constantine again. So.
Yeah, which is surprising to me because I kind of like Constantine in the comics, as it were, but I haven't even seen all of the Keanu Reeves movie. But
Ding.
Yeah, there's another one. Yeah, all right, I'll give you that as a freebie. Well, no, I said I haven't seen all of it. It doesn't count as I haven't seen it.
If you haven't seen it,
it's a duh.
Yeah, it's a duh. Or an ing.
Yeah, depending on how you want to play it. Yeah, so he said he'd be keen to play Constantine again, which, begs the question when that would come out. I mean, he's got another John Wick on the way in 2 years. What else has he got? He's got Toy Story 4 this year. He's got
come out,
Cyberpunk 2077.
Gosh, that was crazy,
Yeah.
that cameo. That appearance.
Yeah. And you're breathtaking. There's also the Netflix cameo as well. Which,
Yeah, always been
you and Anne were talking about earlier.
Yes, yeah, which is very, very funny.
Yeah.
Very much worth watching. Good movie too. But yeah, he's the scene-stealing cameo in that. It's not even really a cameo. It's actually a role, really, to be more specific. And Bill and Ted, obviously.
Yeah, of course. In the next year, or is it 2021? 2021 it's coming out.
I think it's 2021.
Yeah.
There was an announcement.
It's got a busy year that year, Keanu.
Well, aside from him, there was an announcement for casting for 3 roles. So it was obviously going ahead.
Mm-hmm.
The daughters of Bill and Ted have been cast as Bridget Lundy Payne as Billy Logan and Samara Weaving as Thea Preston. Now, I told you this before we started recording, but Samara Weaving is Hugo Weaving's niece, if I remember correctly. She's an Australian actress. She's been in a lot of stuff in Australia, and she was here filming the movie with Daniel Radcliffe, Guns Akimbo, last year. And also they announced Kid Cudi in an unannounced role. He's a musician, so if you don't know. So that's good to see that's moving here, but it's just continued to add to what people are now jokingly calling the year of Keanu, which is just
or at least the next couple of years.
The next couple of years, but it's pretty crazy. People are very excited about that Cyberpunk appearance. It's a very major role. Johnny Silverhand, I think, is the character that he plays. But he's not alive anymore. If you wanted to add that, so just so in case you spoilers for anyone who don't know about Cyberpunk, but I read this just earlier on, so. Be very interesting. They're all very amazing things. I would be happy to see him play Constantine again. Oh, gosh.
We'll cut that bit out.
I'll cut that bit out.
As funny as that was, we'll cut that out.
Keanu's making me sneeze. Keanu sneeze.
Okay, leave it in now because it's funnier.
God. So, yeah, no, I'd be very interested in Keanu returning to Constantine. I'm definitely going to see John Wick 4. I'm definitely going to see Bill and Ted. I'm probably going to play Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
I definitely recommend the Netflix movie. Jeepers.
What else? Go see Toy Story 4.
And yeah, but apparently it's really good because that's currently still, well, last I looked, 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, and there was like 90 plus reviews. So,
yeah. I'm a bit hesitant because I remember reading something a while ago saying that Tim Allen's come out and said that it's really emotional. I cried at the end of Toy Story 3, so I don't think I could handle Toy Story 4.
We'll see.
We'll see what happens.
But yeah, it's crazy.
Speaking of Keanu Reeves and John Wick 4, there's also coming out the same weekend as John Wick 4, John Wick.
John Weekend.
Coming out the same weekend as John Wick 4 is a Taika Waititi film, Akira.
Now, do you know Akira? Have you ever seen Akira?
I've never seen Akira.
Ding.
Yeah. Damn, you made me walk into that.
Akira is... I still don't even understand how you can make a live action. I have no idea what Taika's doing to sign up for this film. It's going to be very interesting, I think. Yeah. Wow. That weekend's going to be interesting too. I don't know. I still don't think Akira is filmable. I think it's a fool's errand to try and turn it into a live action movie. It's not even close to the balance of what Ghost in the Shell was, and Ghost in the Shell was not a successful film adaptation of its source material either. And it has nothing on what Akira ends up being essentially in its last act. I know which one I'll probably be going to go see that weekend first anyway.
Yeah. It'll be Akira because it's alphabetical.
No, it'll be a John weekend.
Yeah, it will be a John weekend, I'd imagine. We'll move on. There's been rumors around a Indiana Jones 5 film coming out. I don't think there's been a script or
Did
a
anyone
year
ask
announced.
Richard Gere? Richard Gere.
Richard Gere.
Jesus.
I don't know.
Did anyone ask Richard Gere? Sorry.
I don't know. Maybe they have asked Richard Gere just to pop in it. You know. But yeah, I do know there was a bit of news saying that I think apparently Chris Pine wanted to play Indiana Jones.
Oh, there was some comment about that Richard Gere, Harrison Ford, made some comment about Chris Pine haphazardly about or something, and he commented on it, which all of a sudden meant that it was merited that this was actually happening or something, or was going to be thought about.
Yeah.
But I know it's still on Spielberg's slate. It's he's got West Side Story coming first, which I think I've talked about this before. Mm-hmm. Hopefully it'll be less racially insensitive.
Yeah.
And perhaps more epically visual, I guess, knowing Spielberg. So whatever happens after that, it's supposed to be. I have no idea. Do we even dare talk about the fourth one?
There's a fourth one? I think this is the fourth, isn't it?
No, you've written Indiana Jones 5 here,
yeah,
so there must be a fourth one.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there's a fourth. I'm not going to walk into that because that's another ding if I do.
Have you not actually seen it?
No. I know.
You watched that South Park episode and you went, that's enough.
No, I actually played the Lego game version of it. And went, that's enough.
Oh, yeah, true, fair enough.
So, yeah.
That seemed weird.
But just stay out of lead-lined fridges, children.
Yeah. Up until the lead-lined fridge thing was actually right. So the first, 15 minutes, I was like, okay, this is all right. And then that happened, and then it all went downhill from there.
Yeah.
More or less.
Pretty much.
Yeah. But it's not as bad as everyone says it is. I'm going to be quite honest. It's not that bad. It's just not. It's not as good as the rest. Let's be honest.
And there was a small cameo from the Crystal Skull in Solo as well.
Oh yes,
remember in Dryden Voss's trophy room.
Yes,
which I think a lot of people expected Jar Jar, but we got a Indiana Jones Easter egg.
Just because. Well, it now tells you the aliens from Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull exist in a time far away.
Well, that's true, because 3PO and R2 do exist in Indiana Jones.
Yes, I think that's literally it.
Yeah, it's probably just a returned favour.
It is, and being another Lucas film.
Yeah.
Yeah, speaking of people to be potential future Indiana Joneses.
Yeah, all right.
Tom Holland in the Uncharted movie.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see this, because, Tom Holland's had, a lot of a big break recently with Spider-Man and Avengers, and he's quite acrobatic from behind the scenes footage you've seen of Spider-Man and all that. So it could probably make a good front runner for it at least.
Well, he is. You mean for the future Indiana Jones? Well, essentially,
no, for Uncharted.
Well, he is
as well as Indy, yeah,
but he is going to be in the Uncharted movie, and so this is the announcement that it's got a release date. Again, end of next year, I think it is. It's not that far away.
No.
Which means it must be filming soon.
I'm sure we'll find out by his tweets.
He'll leak something or tell us the whole plot or something. But he's playing a young Nathan Drake. Mm-hmm. And Nathan Drake essentially is like a serial... It's like an Indiana Jones character. What's the character from The Mummy that Brendan Fraser plays? I've forgotten now.
Rick
something.
Rick someone, yeah.
Yeah. I was about to say Rick from The Mummy, but that same
enough.
style, and so he's going to be a young version, which isn't unprecedented. The third and fourth game show scenes of young Nathan Drake. Mm-hmm. So there could be an interesting situation. Was it you that made the comment the other day of Tom Selleck?
Yeah.
Tom Selleck as Sully, I could totally be on board with. That is great casting. I would totally watch that movie.
I was the one to come up with that, so I'll put that in my win box.
The only problem I have with that was obviously that Tom Holland's quite young, and if it's him as Sully, then he's quite old, whereas I could see him as the older Sully with an older Nathan Drake. Yeah. That's my only concern. Because otherwise it would have to be a de-aged Tom Selleck.
To look like Magnum P.I.
Kind of, yeah. Era-ish, kind of. Maybe just starting to get grey around the temples.
Yeah. But so it's more like Friends.
Yeah, Friends
sort of
era. Yeah.
Fair cool.
Yeah,
well,
I can see that. But I don't know. They haven't said anything. I
think at this stage it's just been Tom Holland has been announced.
The irony connecting those things, and we've just been talking about Indiana Jones, is obviously the fact that Tom Selleck was supposed to be Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
which is just like that just popped into my head just then. That's kind of funny. So if he ends up in that movie, it's only to me seems somewhat fitting. Yeah.
And it fits in quite well.
It does fit in quite well, to be fair, yeah. I'll let you talk about the next thing, because I had not heard anything about this.
For those of you that want to know or even care about, I read something, I didn't read the full article, I just read the headline that there's a Spice Girls
do you really
film.
want to know?
There's the door. There you go.
Yeah, I really want to know.
So because the Spice Girls have come back to like just the UK recently doing like a world tour or something just around Europe, like I think it's been announced that they're doing an animated film.
Now my understanding is that not all 5 of the Spice Girls are involved in the tour, but all 5 of the Spice Girls are involved with the animated film.
That is correct. Much like their live action film from the 1990s when they were the big craze, all 5 of them are going to be there.
Yeah, fair enough.
And
I guess it's not very hard for Victoria Beckham to step into a voice booth and talk.
No, she's probably just...
She's probably from home,
yeah,
to be quite honest.
No makeup, do out and, record your lines and that's it, and get paid God knows how much.
I'm sure this will be exciting for a bunch of people who really like Spice Girls in the 90s.
Yeah.
It's not me.
No, it's not me either, to be fair, so let's just move on.
Yeah, let's just move on, indeed.
The less said about it, the better.
Yeah, fair enough. We've talked enough. There's a gazette.
Speaking of R, there's an R-rated Tarantino Star Trek film coming out.
Oh,
and if that's not a good segue, I don't know what is.
That was a brilliant segue. I was hoping you'd do that. That was very, very good. I don't think this is ever going to happen, personally.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those hearsay things that, it's Tarantino and he's, he makes everything R-rated these days. And
well, it's not even just that. It's just I don't know what's happening with Star Trek in general. Like, you would think the last movie did really, really well, and with accepting the unfortunate death of Anton Yelchin in that terrible accident, it was a case of, there was a good opportunity to continue that franchise, and yet nothing's been said. They missed a big anniversary date for the franchise, because they really tried to push that movie for that, and it kind of just missed. And it's interesting to think that where they would go, but then I can't see Tarantino doing an R-rated film, even if he wrote or just directed or whatever. And on top of it, does this count towards his 10 films and quitting thing? I don't think it would either. So it's kind of one of those things that I just... People have already been making jokes. It's going to have like alien feet fetish shots and weird sorts of things. And Samuel Jackson is a alien screaming motherfucker, and like all these jokes.
It's got to be.
And yeah, I'm not enthused. Like, well, that's the other part of it. Like, what do I need to see Tarantino doing this? No.
Yeah.
Well, is there anyone else doing such?
I do know William Shatner's come out and praised it. Well, even though it doesn't exist, but he's come out and sort of given his blessing, so to speak. Yeah,
I kind of was joking with you as well. I'm surprised the backlash is a bit more like the Onion video about when the rebooted J.J. Abrams Star Trek came out. If anyone hasn't seen that, it is absolutely hilarious. It's basically saying the current Trekkies are upset that the new Star Trek movie looks fun and watchable and exciting. But like... Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's going to happen. I personally, if it happens, wow, amazing, cool, whatever. But
yeah, we'll go check it out.
I'll go check it out.
At this stage, it's just hearsay.
Or it'll be like a ding for Ryan, and it'll be on the spec. It does lead into what I'm starting to try and put all our trailer conversations together. So going from Tarantino, we should probably talk about the trailer for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yep.
Are you interested?
I've seen it, and I was like, wow, this actually might look pretty good, because it's got Kurt Russell in it playing a stuntman, which ties into the whole Grindhouse film that Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez did, which I really enjoyed. I was a Death Proof.
Yes, Death Proof.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that, and it's got was it Leo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt as actor and stunt double.
Yep.
Which I kind of feel is good casting, because they do kind of look like each other.
Enough you could believe it in a 60s Western-esque. It visually looks amazing. Like, he's really nailed the aesthetic of the time period. It's Tarantino, so the films never always make the best trailers. Sometimes they don't sell themselves well in trailers in trailer form. I'm curious. The reviews out of the film festival, out of Cannes, has been good. There's the usual, there was a standing ovation. It didn't win any awards, but Tarantino winning awards hasn't happened for a long time anyway. So, like, and that's not in a general sense, but more of a festival kind of thing.
Yeah,
it just doesn't happen. So, I'm definitely keen to go see it, that's for sure.
Go check it out.
Yeah, you're going to go see... Are you going to go see Toy Story 4? Because you said this before, because there was a final trailer
I probably
out.
will go see Toy Story 4. I was just being silly before.
There was a final trailer put out for it as well, which I think gave a little bit more of the plot than the previous trailers really had up until this point. But still doesn't really. Like, it's just it seemed like a series of scenes of toys rescuing other toys.
Yeah, which is pretty much the other 3 movies as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, it didn't really give me much feeling about what the general...
Yeah, well, from what I can ascertain is that the toys are now with, I forget the little girl's name that Andy's given them to, and that the family go on a road trip and then they stop or something, and one of the toys goes out the window or something, or he like jumps out the window, or
the
gets
spork.
flung out the the spork. He gets flung out the window, I think, just by the window being open. So
I think he doesn't think he's
rescued.
I've read enough briefs beforehand. I think he doesn't think he's a toy. He's supposed to be he thought he was a fork, and he was supposed to be thrown out the rubbish. And the fact he got turned into a toy creates this philosophical debate about toys, essentially, and life essentially by itself. And he doesn't want to be a toy, so he just thinks he'll disappear. But of course, that'll upset the little girl, and of course, Woody's all about making sure that his kids, wherever they are looked after. But I've got pretty much none of that from the trailer, all that from like the blurbs I read beforehand. So I don't know how. Maybe they're just marketing this purely on the nostalgia, and you'll just go see this anyway. Yeah, which is kind of funny because we have been talking about this about trailers that just kind of don't really sell a lot about what the movie is. They just kind of go, right, here's a bunch of scenes, or not, here's a little bit, and we know you're going to go see this anyway. So
we don't want to tell you much of the story to ruin it.
Which is fine. It was interesting to see that. We talked about this last time, and I just wanted to bring it up though. The Sonic trailer, which was not great.
No.
It's been pushed back to 2020 because they're changing the Sonic thing. But someone had already re-edited the trailer to make him look kind of more like the classic game/cartoon look. Yeah. And considering it was one person doing this job by themselves pretty much, it's not a perfect trailer, but it already made the movie
for 2.5 minutes.
Yeah, it already made the movie look slightly more appealing, I hate to admit. But I still don't think I'll go see it straight out the...
No, we'll probably give it a while and see what it does. See how it tracks.
That first new reveal trailer, once they've got the new look in, will be very telling, I think. Yeah. And there'll be lots of people comparing it to the previous trailer, I suspect.
Yeah, depending on if they re-release the same trailer with the new footage or whether they just release a whole new trailer altogether. See what happens.
I suspect they'll release a new trailer, but we'll probably end up with some scenes from the first trailer that have been replaced just so people can see how it looks. Yeah. And get more of an idea of the movie. It would have been what the second trailer probably would have been anyway. So. Yeah, well, they do that anyway with trailers. They occasionally put stuff from previous trailers in. Exactly, yeah.
Amongst new footage as well.
Yeah, exactly, correct. I'll let you talk about the next trailer because you put this on the list. I have seen it though.
Yeah, so there's a Dark Crystal Netflix trailer, which I'll add that because I haven't seen Dark Crystal.
That was going to be my next question. I was going to say, should I have a ding for the Dark Crystal?
See, I'll preempt you and put the ding in.
Fair enough, yeah. Thank you.
So the Dark Crystal Netflix trailer, like, I've seen a lot of behind the scenes, so I roughly know what it is. Of not this, but the movie itself, and it looks as though it's a callback to what the movie was with practical puppets and full-size sets, which would be amazing.
They've done as much of that apparently as practical as they can, and because of the modern manipulation you can do in a computer, they can have puppeteers and green and rods and have more manipulation and more articulation than they ever had, but still using the original puppets, and then digitally remove.
Yeah, instead of having them hidden behind rocks and walls and stuff.
So it definitely has that classic look. I think it's not just a movie, it's an actual series.
Yeah, it's a series, yeah. I think it is, episodic, I think.
And it comes out at the end of August, I think.
Yeah.
I'm keen, but I need to rewatch the original movie, to be fair. It's been a long time since I've seen it, but I have it on Blu-ray, and so I bought it so I could rewatch it. So I'd be very interested to see where it fits. I think on the scheme of all the Jim Henson kind of 80s things, it was my least favourite of the lot, but then again, it's the one that I have the least amount of memory of, so that may be why. And I may rewatch and go, well, this is actually quite good. But if you haven't seen it, there's another reason for
it's another reason to unding it.
So before the Netflix series comes out. Should be interesting.
There was also a Terminator trailer released for, is it Dark? It's not Dark World.
Dark Fate.
Dark Fate, thank you.
So it comes out November 1st.
Yeah. So if you want to buy me a birthday present, thanks for that.
Buy you a Terminator, okay.
No, buy me a ticket to it. But no, I'm not just meaning you. I'm meaning our listeners too. If you want to be nice, donate.
A pile
Thank
of
you.
tickets for
Yes.
Terminator there.
Not a pile, just one, because
Yeah,
I don't
but-
know. Otherwise, I'll have to sell them on Trade Me or something.
Hopefully it's not just... Well, if they give you just a generic movie ticket, then you can go see other movies if you already seen Terminator.
That's true. If it's like a multi-pass or something.
Lily Dallas.
Yeah. It's going to do that.
Sorry.
Yeah. Multi-pass. Yeah, so it as you touched on before, it completely wipes out the other movies, and it's a direct sequel to Terminator 2, which will be interesting to see how that happens, because it's James Cameron produced.
Yes, and
he's not
story
directing.
concept, but not written.
So yeah, it's definitely by someone who knows the universe quite well. So it'll probably take up quite well, I'd imagine. I hope.
Yeah, we all hope. It's interesting because Arnold Schwarzenegger appears in it, but he's not a Terminator. But there's enough casting rumors, and I don't really want to talk about too much of the casting stuff because it spoils things for people. But you can go look it up online. There's a couple of relatable casting things, and there's to do with characters not appearing and characters that appear but what may not be what they are. But what is very interesting that in the trailer, and what I do get, is it feels a little bit like they've taken elements from the other 3 Terminator movies that have come out since and kind of have rejigged them in a way that they're happy with. So, like, obviously, Mackenzie Davis's character is kind of like Sam Worthington in that she's human but with machine parts, as opposed to the other way around. Judgment Day didn't happen, and it's kind of been delayed, but it could still happen, which is kind of like Terminator 3. The T-1000 has an endoskeleton, which is also like Terminator 3, except in this case the endoskeleton and the liquid metal Terminator separate. So there's all these bits from, and then obviously a retelling and a change of the timeline, like Genesis and the inevitability of things. So it's almost like a retelling of the other 3 films that came after it and the pick and choosing moments, and obviously what's happened since T2. So it'd be very interesting to see.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be something has aged as well, so it's like 20 or so years later, and you definitely see I gotta get this right, Linda Hamilton, because I think I referred to her as Linda Carter one time.
It's Sarah Connor. It's probably that Connor part, the Carter Connor.
Yeah, it's probably what's done it to me. But it'd be interesting to see if they cast her twin sister in it as well.
That would be interesting. That would be interesting
because they did it with Terminator 2, and I think
how much she looks like her now. They looked quite similar, but she looked like her younger self a little bit. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe that'll happen.
Yeah.
Speaking of reinvented franchises or continuing old franchises, Last Blood, Rambo Last Blood trailer.
I think they drew first. He drew last.
Yeah. It's like Rambo Home Alone. Sorry to make you laugh. Sorry, that wasn't intentional to do it then. I want to talk about this. I'm not the only one who said this. But it does. It looked like he's setting up traps coming for a Mexican cartel. I don't really know. Did I need to see the last Rambo film? No. Did I see the last Rambo film? Yes. Was it good? Yeah, it was alright. Probably going to be more of the same, to be honest. It's definitely no Rocky, that's for sure.
No. It's... from what I remember is that it's just Rambo was just a complete bloodfest. So it wouldn't surprise me if this is probably much of the same. I mean, if not being Last Blood, it's probably be like First Blood, where it's just one guy, perhaps.
I think that's the connection, because essentially... But the first movie, the funny thing about that is in the first movie, he only kills one person. And it's by accident. It's not even intentional. The guy falls out of the helicopter. So by comparison, if he ends up killing everyone in this movie, it's like the antithesis in that sense too, because it's one guy killing everyone.
Yeah.
I don't know. Be interesting.
Yeah, we'll definitely see what happens with it.
Another movie that's getting a sequel that is a kind of interesting situation is there's a Doctor Sleep trailer out. Now, I talked about this a bit when we talked about the CinemaCon stuff.
Yeah.
I avoided saying Comic-Con there this time.
You got it right this time.
And... That is coming up, though. This is interesting because the book came out in 2013. Stephen King wrote it. He intentionally wrote it where it's based on his book and his film version, because he did a miniseries film, and avoids anything connecting to the Stanley Kubrick film version, which he's famously not a fan of. But in order for this film to work, it has to connect. They've decided it has to connect to the Stanley Kubrick one. So the script kind of has to draw this little line between the Stanley Kubrick version, which you see in the trailer, and they had to get Stephen King to approve that.
Yeah,
It seemed to be happy.
Yeah, I think the director had to go and pitch. Well, he didn't have to, but he decided to go and pitch to Stephen King as to how they connected and why they needed to.
And he gave it approval.
Yeah.
Still seemingly begrudgingly lately, because I saw the tweet afterwards when the trailer came out. He goes, "This will blow your mind if you've got anything left after It Chapter 2."
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's how much of a
Stephen King is quite a he's kind of a notorious, I won't say recluse, but he's kind of very protective of his works in a way.
In some ways,
wants it to be done right.
Right. But at the same time, he's more than happy if there's someone he trusts, he'll give them rights to his film for like $1. And he recently did that with a short story with a bunch of university kids, I think it was.
That's right, I remember that.
So, you know, the film looks very interesting. It definitely connects to the book, which I have not read, but I've read enough about it when it was about to come out several years ago. And it'll be a very interesting sequel. Whether or not it's a great sequel or even a good movie will yet to be seen, but it's visually interesting and stylistically interesting, and I think it'll be worth seeing. I will mention the next thing because I don't think you've seen this. I just happened to come across this, and this is almost my equivalent to your direct-to-video movies, because this movie is kind of a limited release direct-to-video, but it's called the Banana Splits movie. Now, I don't know if you know of the Banana Splits. It's like a kids show. You'll know the music. They used what movie used it? I was just trying to think of this the other day. There's a cover version of it. Oh, it's in Kick-Ass.
Oh, okay.
It's the theme song from the Banana Splits. But they've reinvented this as a horror movie.
Oh.
So the show, there's a kid that really wants to go see the Banana Splits live, and he gets tickets. The family buys him tickets for his birthday, and it just so happens that the show turns up to is like the show gets cancelled, and the robots that are in the suits. It's not actually suits; it's actually robotic characters. Somehow go crazy because the show's been cancelled, and then start murdering
it's kind of like
people.
Chuck E. Cheese sort of thing, where there's robots on the stage doing a show.
Yeah, but it's like they actually walk around and drive and stuff. And there's like a security guard that says that he sees them at night driving around in their little buggy and doing weird stuff. And then there's also this Five Nights at Freddy's kind of thing as well.
It sounds like that as well, yeah.
It was very weird, and I'm not sure anyone who really needed... I only wanted to bring this up because I thought it was such a weird concept that I was like, I'm sure this is not appealing to anyone. It's not really going to appeal to anyone. Anyone who's like Five Nights at Freddy's are going to be like, this seems like a rip-off. Anyone who likes the original Banana Splits is going to be upset that they're ruining their characters. Yeah. Like, who is this audience for? Like, what is the point of this movie? I don't know. It was a very weird trailer. It just came up on a list of like coming soon things, and I was like, a Banana Splits movie? This would be interesting. What's it going to be? Thinking it was going to be like a regular kind of family comedy. No. It's a horror movie with the Banana Splits characters killing people.
I guess we'll wait and see.
Yeah. Very, very, very odd.
You've also put down here the Ford vs. Ferrari trailer, which has Christian Bale and I can't remember
Matt Damon.
Matt Damon, thank you.
So it's based on the story. I don't know how accurate it'll be because all of these true story things are also true, but
stretch the truth a little bit.
Yeah. So Damon plays Shelby, the Shelby Cobra, creating the Ford racing car for them because they wanted to verse Ferrari. And it's basically the story of that and the right driver who Bale plays who helps him create the car and drive it. The movie constantly keeps listed as like that kind of Oscar baity kind of film, and it could possibly be. It looks great at period set wise. It looks interesting. The racing looks kind of very good, and it'll probably sit alongside Rush, which was also not exactly historically accurate, but kind of a right period piece that Ron Howard did several years ago with Chris Hemsworth and Daniel, what's his name? Oh my god, my brain's gone blank. Daniel Bruhl. It'd be very interesting to see, I think, but I don't know if I'll race out of my way to see it unless the reviews are absolutely stellar. It'll be one of those things I'll probably watch eventually, but I won't be surprised if it ends up being one of those potential Oscar outliers, depending against what else it ends up
one
going
of those sort of mid-year, early contenders.
Exactly. There was also another trailer out around the same time for Ad Astra, which is a
Brad Pitt film.
Which is on that same kind of vein where it's kind of like dramatic enough, but I feel like maybe a little bit too sci-fi for an Oscar category kind of thing. Brad Pitt plays this kind of astronaut engineer, I think, and his father went out on a space mission and never returned. There was supposed to be a long deep space probe, and then all of a sudden they're getting photos and information back from this deep space probe that may prove that his father's still alive. but the trailer doesn't really say anything more than that. It's very interesting. The funniest bit for me, and it's not intentionally to be funny, but there's Liv Tyler's in this, and there's a scene where it just invokes Armageddon.
Yeah.
Because she's obviously playing like his love interest. I don't know. It's very weird.
We'll see what happens. I mean, if Bruce Willis shows up.
Yeah.
I mean, and it could be another thing too with Brad Pitt. He could science the shit out of it. You know,
like Matt Damon did.
Yeah,
could too. Matt Damon did that in Martian, so yeah, Brad Pitt can science it too. We'll see. It'll be interesting.
Yeah. Now we'll go to my direct-to-video corner. Now, I don't know. We'll see if this is going to become a regular thing.
I think it should be a regular thing. I think it's not very hard for you to find one of these each time.
No,
and if not, you know someone you can ask.
Yeah, I think this one and our previous one of
Velocipasta.
Thank you, Velocipasta, just popped up in my news feed, and I just went, "What?" So this one is called Clownado.
I can't not laugh at.
No, I know. No. If you think Sharknado took off with what are they up to now? 5 films?
Oh, they've stopped making them. Yeah, it was 5 or 6 or whatever.
Yeah, but why? Like clowns that come to town to kill people in a tornado.
Yeah, I ended up watching the trailer this time because last time I hadn't watched the Velocipasta one before you mentioned it. So this time I was like, right, he said Clownado, I'm going to go look it up. And I'm like, gee, God, this is horrible. Yeah. And there's lots of shots of like clowns eating like people and tearing people apart, and they appear in a tornado. And I can't remember the actress's name, but she was in Return of the Living Dead, and that was kind of funny. I was like, it's the only person I recognised in it, and yeah, I wouldn't recommend that to anyone. It looks absolutely horrendous.
It kind of looks like, was it Killer Clowns from Space?
Outer Space, yeah.
With tornadoes.
Tornadoes.
It looks like that same
and
sort
half
of thing.
And like maybe a third of the budget, or like
I
maybe
wouldn't even say
that. Yeah, maybe like an eighth of the budget.
Oh, that's being generous. I'd say about a 30th of the budget. looks almost like a high school project, to be fair.
Yeah, fair enough. There was probably 48-hour films made last weekend that were better than that movie.
That's true. I'll give you that. But yeah, just.
I want people to just go look at the trailer just for the sake of it.
Yeah. If you've never heard of this, just look up the trailer. It's on IMDb. You can find it on YouTube. Just why?
I want your challenge to be to find one of these every time because I think these are hilarious. Even if they're really crap, it's brilliant just to see some weird trailer for something that's so ridiculous. Yeah. We should probably quickly go through, well, not quickly, but just kind of go through some of the newer films that we've seen and kind of generally talk about them in a quick review fashion. I've seen 3 films. You've only seen one.
Yeah, I've seen the one. Yeah, I'll start with mine because it probably won't take much time. So, me and my girlfriend Anne went and saw Lego Movie 2, which was actually quite good. I enjoyed it because, as you know, and I think I've mentioned other times, I'm a big Lego fan. And early on, I kind of went, okay, I have a feeling this is where the movie was going. But it kind of went the opposite way to what I thought, which was kind of surprising to me because I was like, oh, yeah, all right, I'll sit through this and see how right I am. Like, not, sort of smugly, but I was like, no, I've kind of predicted it, but then it didn't. And I was like, all right, that was a good surprise.
And otherwise, a generally enjoyable film, otherwise, anyway.
Yeah, and then there's a song to get stuck in your head, too.
Yes.
So, if everything is awesome didn't get stuck in your head, then the follow-up will get stuck in your head as well.
But I still haven't seen it, but I'm probably going to miss it at the cinemas because as we established, I don't think it's screening anymore up here. So I'll have to wait for it to come out.
Yeah, I think we were lucky to get one of the last few screenings here.
It's been out for a while. I'll talk briefly about the 3 I've seen because you recommended it anyway.
I'd recommend it.
So I went and saw John Wick 3, obviously. I said this earlier on. I thought it was absolutely amazing. Very much why it's been getting amazing reviews. There's a few little niggly bits in it that don't really work, but for the most part, the action is pretty impressive. I definitely was not surprised when I heard the audience members in you going, ooh, at some of the stuff he was doing, because it's definitely like, whoa, holy crap. One of the scenes that early on that stands out is John Wick on a horse. That's pretty awesome. Him not just on the horse, he ends up in stables and he ends up using the horses as like weapons almost, which is kind of cool. Like unintentionally, like cool. I don't know how it would pass animal cruelty standards. I'm sure that they were not always real horses or real guys.
Some sort of maquettes or something.
CG
life-size maquettes or something.
CG manipulated. Thinking about this now. The film meanders a little bit in the middle. Some of the action sequences wraps a little too long. But generally, it's a pretty enjoyable film, and if you did like the first 2, you'll probably like this. It's probably, if I had to order them, 1, 3, 2. So I liked it more than the second one. So I definitely recommend that. Saw Godzilla. I saw that at IMAX. Yeah, nah, not really my thing. Not really my thing. Spectacle-wise, it was really good. There's some good characters in it, but the plot is not great. They've given some terrible dialogue. No one doesn't try. A lot of the movie, you end up going, why did they do this? Why did they do that? Why does this character make this sort of decision? Then you start picking apart the movie and you start going, why is this happening? One scene takes place in Antarctica and there's a creature that creates storms around it. So, of course, it creates a blizzard. And I'm like, well, that doesn't make any sense because they're in Antarctica. It's too cold for it to snow. So even if you brought a blizzard, it wouldn't turn to snow. It doesn't make any sense. You wouldn't be able to do the blizzard. And why am I doing this while I'm trying to watch this movie? Like,
yeah, why are you trying to?
A character,
the plot hole.
A character gets killed, and it's so unobvious they get killed that the scene they cut to next after the scene, so they cut to a character you think may have been killed, shows they're actually been rescued, and then the next shot after they get up shows you a computer screen establishing that the character you may thought have been killed has actually been killed.
Oh.
That's how messy it is in places.
That's bad.
If you are there for the monster or monster action, you're definitely going to get your money's worth. Bradley Whitford plays a scientist in it, and he's probably the MVP of the movie. He makes some very funny comments, and his character's slightly in a state of constant disbelief at a lot of things. It's almost like he's a surrogate for the audience, not in the sense of like the audience surrogate, but more of the what the hell is going on? Why are people making these decisions? Why is these things happening? Why would you do that? Which is kind of funny. It's almost, I want to say, meta reference. They want to continue this franchise with a Kong Godzilla movie, and they definitely potentially lead a little bit into that. Kong is absent from this movie when all these other monsters are.
Because they kind of want to tie it to the Kong from Skull Island.
Yeah, it is. It is the Kong from Skull. So Kong from Skull Island is and Monarch, the organization that's in Godzilla and in Skull Island is in this as well. So they all tie together as part of this big universe. So yeah, they've already said they're going to push back that a little bit just to make sure it's right, because obviously the reaction to this movie has been average, to be fair. The last movie I saw was X-Men Dark Phoenix. And again, it's kind of similar in the same sense. It's like a bunch of really, really solid actors in a movie that's not really doing a lot. Some good action scenes. Actually, some action scenes in that movie are actually some of the best in the entire X-Men franchise.
Oh, wow.
It's just the movie that they put in is not particularly engaging, and it's not a better retelling of the Phoenix saga than last time. Maybe, but not by much. It's unnecessary. I think the delays definitely hurt it a lot. If they just released it when it was originally supposed to be released, it probably wouldn't be so bad. I think post-Endgame, it's kind of hard for people not to expect a certain level of spectacle. Yeah. The actors definitely don't not try. I kind of want to talk about the spoilers in it, because I don't think anyone who's going to listen to this is probably going to see it. But I'm more going to bring this up for one other thing which got pointed out to me, is the spoilers for this movie, which I have not yet mentioned, are actually spoiled in Deadpool 2.
Yeah.
Have you seen this?
I had read that.
Yes. So there's two characters that don't appear in that scene in Deadpool 2 where the other X-Men appear. They're also the two characters that do not make it through this movie. Yeah. So I'll leave it at that. I won't say anything more, but if you want to know who those are, just go look at Deadpool 2 and look at the scene with the X-Men, and you'll be able to work out who those people are.
Yeah. So I haven't seen Dark Phoenix myself, but I have read this review, the thing about Deadpool 2, but it's kind of said too that, it could have been scheduling conflicts and who they were, that they weren't there. It just happens to be some sort of a coincidence.
I'm sure that is exactly the case, but it's hilarious that it ends up being those two.
Yeah. I mean, if someone comes out and says, no, that's kind of intentional, then...
Yeah, then it's more...
they've ruined their own film for themselves.
Exactly. I think one of them's pretty obvious that, if you've watched the trailers, something's going to happen. Yeah. I think that's pretty obvious. And this is the other part. I mean, a lot of the actors in it that you want to see don't even get a lot of screen time anyway. Certainly certain actors get a certain amount of screen time. Nicholas Hoult actually gets probably a good proportion more than he has in any other film for this, which is a shame, because he's actually really good in this. And Fassbender and McAvoy are just as good as they always are, and they get a lot of screen time as well. Still not great. Turner's not great as Jean Grey, let's be honest. And she doesn't get much. She gets a lot of emotional pathos scenes, but
not much else.
Not much else, and it's not great. And Jessica Chastain's wasted, and it's just not worth recommending. If you really need to see all the X-Men movies, you're going to watch it anyway. I didn't technically pay to see this, got a free ticket. so I didn't mind. But I wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah, don't rush out unless you really want to go see it.
And I think people are in that same sense because the box office has something great for it anyway.
I think most people probably won't go see it because there's no Hugh Jackman.
Well, that's the other part. They could have still had this could have technically been, if they wanted to put Hugh Jackman in it, and if it had been released around the time, it would have made sense. But I'm glad that he didn't, because after Logan, it's a good send off for the character.
Yeah. No, we'll move on to a retro film series we've seen recently of the Matrix trilogy.
Yeah,
just the Matrix in general.
Yeah, the Matrix in general,
as we've joked about.
So we ended up watching. I wanted to rewatch the first Matrix movie after seeing John Wick 3. And I just had this feeling I really wanted to see it again. And then it came to the realization again that your girlfriend had not seen any of the Matrix movies. So I said to her, you can sit down and watch the Matrix with me if you want. And she said, yeah, okay, cool. And so she sat down and really, really, really enjoyed it. And then we said, oh, you should probably just watch the Animatrix and then watch the sequels. She ended up really enjoying the sequels. I think that hindsight thing of like having it not in the time space that it was kind of surrounded by all the hype in the early 2000s, it was worth rewatching. And then ironically, literally 2 days ago, I just happened to see Patrick Willems had put up a video about rewriting the Matrix sequels, and I was like, well, how timely is that I just rewatched these? And I watched that, and it was really interesting, having just freshly rewatched it, and actually said, you know what, I don't think I hate the sequels as much as I originally did, having rewatched them and having to think about them more. It's interesting watching how he would recraft them, because he basically is going to create the story beats to have the same impactful story beats have to exist, but the movie can be restructured in an entirely different way, and certain bits can be taken out that aren't important. And the way he restructures it would definitely be a much more, they would be better sequels, but they still retain the more key important parts. Definitely worth watching that. But anyway, I was going to say, what did you think rewatching the sequels? So you didn't watch the first one again because you've seen it enough times.
I think I was at work, but yeah, I've seen it enough times. But I don't know, like the first one still holds up pretty well, and I was kind of surprised at how well the sequels hold up as well.
Yeah,
like just because yes, they are CG heavy in parts, but there's still practical elements as well, and miniatures, like in Revolutions when the hammer crashes through the gate of Zion. Like that's a miniature, and that still holds up.
Visually, even the visual effects generally hold up. Some of the Burly Brawl fight scenes never were great in the first place. They were just kind of a little bit too early on the whole CG fully, everything in the shot is CG kind of realm. But I think what holds that together is that the production design throughout the movies in general is absolutely stunning. Like it's a consistent design concept, and it's worth rewatching them. I think that's the interesting thing, and I think that's the other part of it, is that regardless of the problems with the second and third films, there's still a unique experience that filmmakers these days would not get around to making. They just wouldn't be able to make a film franchise like that. It's studios are too worried about playing it safe, and it would be very interesting to see what would happen if Warner Brothers did decide to continue down that path, if they decided to reboot the series or continue it in some fashion. It would be very, very interesting.
Because we talked about it in our last episode of that the Wachowskis potentially returning, but there was sort of debunked a few days later that they weren't coming back. So, it could be interesting if WB do want to return to it and, bring another 3 out maybe, or just another couple or something, but...
Anne brought so much questions to me, like a couple of things for each movie generally, and making me think about it. It's like the resolve on that third film is a resolve, but it's not a resolve. There's definitely a world where they continue, because essentially the machines and the human race are at a truce essentially, and so it could go anywhere
until something else, like whether the machines or the humans potentially break that as well. Yeah. And then it starts the whole cycle again.
Yeah, exactly. That'd be very
interesting. What is it, the 8th cycle or something?
7th. It must be the 8th, because Neo was the 7th, I think.
Or at least that Neo was the 7th.
Yeah. Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
It was interesting, too, because in that video that I was talking about as well, he brought out a point about that scene, funnily enough, the one with the architect. It would have been much more interesting for that scene to play out where you saw more of it, what he's talking about, which would have better impact and better understanding of what's being talked about, and not so word-heavy. And it's a scene with monitors, so you've got all this opportunity. And he equated it to the first Matrix film, where when Morpheus first takes Neo into the construct and explains to him what the Matrix is, and it uses a lot of visual elements to show what he's talking about. It's like that's what that scene should have been. When you saw that there was previous instances of the Matrix, they should have shown it. When there was other versions of the one, they should have shown it.
Yeah, they should have shown sort of certain elements from the Animatrix as well, because that touches on early aspects of the Matrix as well.
Exactly. Those sorts of things would have played in very well for it. And he also talked about a little bit of the fact that obviously this multi-universe concept where they had like the Animatrix and the Into the Matrix video game, and it's like these bits, if you didn't play the video game or didn't watch the Final Flight of the Osiris, then a lot of the elements
kind of miss out on
stunted
story parts.
So, which is very true as well.
Because whereas The Matrix Reloaded is a sequel to The Matrix, but it doesn't carry on any sort of direct storyline, whereas Final Flight of the Osiris links and Into the Matrix link directly into Matrix Reloaded and therefore into Revolutions.
Yeah. And there's like, when you think about it, like, for example, Niobe's character storming into the power thing because of what happened.
Yeah.
It just happens in the movie because that entire thing is based around the video game. Like, that whole thing is like a 20-minute thing by itself. It's like, no wonder you couldn't put that into the movie, but it kind of cheapens that part of the story moment in the movie because of it. It's very weird.
So you need to see all of the sort of media surrounding the whole storyline.
And you can't really do that now. You can watch... If you've got the DVD or the Blu-ray, you can watch the 40 minutes or whatever it is of cutscenes that they've shot specifically for the game, stripped entirely of the context of the game, because you'd have to play the game somehow. Yeah,
just so you can see what leads up to all those cutscenes as well.
And even having to sit there and watch 9 Animatrix shorts, like, not everyone's going to do that.
No.
And even then, that doesn't give you directly everything, anyway. So... yeah, like, it's the same with Kid. Like, if you didn't watch the Animatrix source with the Kid, and he just turns up and starts bugging Neo, he seems like this annoying character, and he doesn't really get the payoff in the last act that he need.
Yeah, whereas if you watch the actual short, you go, okay, now it makes more sense, much like Final Flight of the Osiris.
Exactly, yeah.
This leads into it.
I definitely recommend rewatching them for anyone who's curious. The first movie still holds up as an absolute classic. The sequels are better than I remembered, and it was definitely worth rewatching them. And if you can, watch the other stuff, the Animatrix and at least the video game cutscenes, or the gameplay online.
Yeah, just find it online, because you probably don't want to sit through several hours playing it yourself.
Yeah. We have to figure out something else for us to watch retro
next time. Oh, just had a whole bunch of stuff on the list earlier for me.
Ding. Maybe
add those to the list.
Maybe Masters of the Universe.
Yeah, or even Dark Crystal.
Dark Crystal, yeah, definitely need to rewatch that too.
Yeah, right. We should move on to our final part of the podcast. We'll move on to the films but badly section. I was about to say section, same diff.
Last time it was a tie.
Yeah.
So we established that we got points for getting it, or points for not for the for
stumping the other person. Yeah.
Right. So we ended up being in a tie.
Yeah. I can't even remember what the score was now. Was it?
I think it was 3-3.
Was it 3-3? Yeah, sounds about right. Right. So I will go first. Oh, I forgot how big this was. It's like confetti. Yeah, I could probably do that.
All right. Got one.
Okay. So I'll try to be very vague with this. Okay. So I've got one here. I'm going to try to be very vague with this because it's probably going to be too easy if I give it away too much. Okay. So I'll give you the description, then I'll start the timer.
Okay.
So it's a man living a day that's the worst day of his life in a snowy town.
Worst day of his life. Yes.
I think you might be stumped here. Might have actually thought of a good one.
Snowy town. Oh, Groundhog Day.
Damn. Yes, it was Groundhog Day.
I was like, worst day of his life, and I go, but technically it's multiple days. So
yeah,
fair enough.
Yeah, I kind of thought just saying snowy town might have been kind of too vague.
I had to think about that for a while.
So I was going to use like a news reporter, but I thought that'd be too on the nose as well.
All right, I think I've got it.
There you go.
Okay, yep. Right. In this film, someone gains something that they shouldn't and is trying to get rid of it and goes with other people to help them get rid of it.
Ooh.
I'll start the timer.
He's gained something that he shouldn't have, but he's gained up with other people trying to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Oh, it kind of sounds like it's an action-adventure sort of a film. I kind of want to say Fifth Element, but that's not right.
No.
He's not trying to get rid
Four,
of that.
3, 2, 1. Time.
No. What do we got? I'll probably kick myself.
Oh, you'll be like, that is such a stupid way to describe it too. It's the whole point, I guess. The film is The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring.
Of course. That was a really good description, actually. Wow, that was far from what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a good description. Oh. Okay, I think I've got a description. Okay. Yeah, okay. Right, so a bitter recluse gets his back broken, then he has to try and save his city.
Oh, that's just got to be Batman. The Dark Knight Returns?
A bit more specific. You're close. You've got Batman.
Batman.
We have to be specific here.
Oh, God. Yeah, it's the Dark Knight. Dark Knight Returns, isn't it? No. Fuck.
Plus 4, 3.
It's got to be Batman. What is it?
It is Batman, but it's The Dark Knight Rises.
Rises! God damn it! I thought it was Returns. Rises.
Unfortunately, I cannot give you that.
Damn it.
Have to be specific here.
That description was so on the nose, and yet it was the bloody title. I can't remember.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember. It was The Dark Knight something.
Yeah.
Was it Returns? No, because it
was Michael Keaton.
Oh, Rises is so obvious. Oh, crap. God damn it. That was a good description, though. But I was like, back broken. I was like Batman.
Yeah, it was kind of too on the nose. I couldn't really avoid it.
All right. A bunch of mismatched people team up together to stop someone from destroying everything they want. Or everything they care about.
Oh. First thing that came to mind was Ghostbusters. It's definitely not that. Mismatched people team up, stop someone destroying something they care about. I'm drawing a complete blank on this. I've still got Ghostbusters in my head, but I know it's not that.
Nope.
5
seconds.
I care about.
3, 2, 1.
No. What have we got?
Their title is Avengers Infinity War.
Oh. Wow, that was actually a good description. Wow, well done.
Thank you.
All right, we'll go one more round.
One more round. Damn you, Dark Knight Rises. I'm still angry about that.
I think by this round, I think you've already won because you're already at 3-0. Stump me with 2 and you've guessed 1 right. Trying to work out the math.
Yeah, I was going to say, you've only got 1, haven't you?
Well, no, I haven't guessed either.
Yeah, but you stumped me.
Oh, yeah, I stumped you with... Oh, yeah, I do. So it's 3-1. Sorry, my mistake. Oh, yes.
Uh-oh.
I'm doing this because, ironically enough, I thought about this earlier.
Oh, he's got something.
Yeah. For some reason, this popped into my head and I thought of a really good description for it.
He's got it. He's got one already.
Okay.
This is boding not well for me.
2 men in a room. One man's looking around the room, telling a story about everything he sees.
It makes me think of The Fugitive. Oh no, not Fugitive. Wrongfully Accused, which makes me think of what's the movie? I just wrote on the tip of my tongue, and I know this.
10 seconds.
Usual Suspects.
Yes. The Usual Suspects.
Yes. Had to think about that for a second.
Damn, I kind of thought that'd stump you.
That was good. No, it's because the description of things around the room made me think of the scene in Wrongfully Accused where he's like talking. They're doing the Usual Suspects
Same
thing.
Gag.
Yeah, go to men's room, Buzz and Frog.
Yeah.
Okay. So in this reasonably realistic film, some people are given the impossible task of traveling across the world to find someone. Part of the world, sorry, I should have said.
Okay. Trying to go across part of the world to find someone. Kind of sounds like Lord of the Rings again in a way.
It's kind of
traveling across a world.
But in this case, they're trying to find someone. And it's an seemingly impossible task. They do succeed, but
It's not Taken, is it? Where to find you? I'm drawing a blank on this.
yeah.
I'm
5 seconds.
terrible around that.
4, 3, 2.
No. What do we got?
Yeah, you'll be disappointed because the movie was Saving Private Ryan.
Oh, wow. Wow, that's a good one.
I don't know if it was or not. Was it a right description? I don't know.
Yeah, that's a pretty good description. I mean, if I couldn't get it from it.
All right.
I wonder if
I
our
could
listeners
have given you a real easy one. Is like trying to find someone with your name.
Yeah.
You would have like, oh, Saving Private Ryan. Or would you?
I don't know. You'll never know.
Never know. So what was the score at the end of that?
I think you got 2 of mine. I stumped you with 1.
Yeah.
So it's what, 5-1.
Oh, jeepers. That was a
Going by that.
big blowout compared to last time. Last time was 3-all. I need to make mine a little bit easier, I think. I think mine were a little bit too difficult.
No, that's fine. That's part of the game. I mean, it's for the listeners as well. I mean,
True.
if they want to play along.
That is true. That is very true.
It's not just for me.
No, it doesn't. But the points here matter, apparently.
Well, when you're in the lead, they are.
Yeah, I guess so. We're still only after this game am I not only in the league. Last time it was a tie, so
But yeah,
this time you might win it.
yeah, it's true. You just never know. I just have to step up my game with the descriptions more.
And I need to make sure I remember movie titles correctly. Otherwise, that would have been a nice clean sweep.
Yeah,
That one.
It would be, yeah. You could have a full, 6 points, yeah.
That's the maximum you could get. Yeah. Cool.
Well, I think we should end it there.
Definitely.
Yeah. Until next time. So.
I was going to say the usual spiel, which
sorry.
was like, make sure you listen. If you've been listening and enjoying this,
Sorry.
that's all right. No, it's fine. Ryan just wants to leave. He wants to get out of here right away. So if you enjoyed this little ramble of ours, please share, like, comment, subscribe, all that usual,
All that stuff.
No, let other people know. And but thank you for listening, and we'll catch you next time.
And this is the actual end.
See you.
Bye.